Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nexus Games Europe Day number 4. We have had some fantastic series over the last couple days, and we're expecting some more today. I am your host for the day, Tetcher, and I am joined by some marvelous casters and analysts here to my left. We have professional caster and streamer, it is Kendrick Swish, and ex-professional player now blessing your auditory senses, it's Bakery. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well, Tetcher. Thanks for having us. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here at the Nexus Games. We've seen, as you said, countless crazy matches. We've seen one-sided games, but also, more importantly, back-and-forth series between teams who are facing each other on an even level.
Especially yesterday. Yesterday, day 3, was such a fantastic day. I would honestly recommend watching the entire day without skipping a single game.
But for those who are interested in potentially a little bit of spoilers and are going to watch today's games, let's have a quick look at the groups. And Bakery, you mentioned some really exciting games yesterday. We were covering Group A and Group B. What really stood out for you in yesterday's games?
I think, honestly, Finland, United Kingdom, they're not the strongest teams in the tournament, but both of them had a lot of heart, and it was a real fantastic series with a great ending.
And it's going to be a silly question to ask you, Mr. Kendrick Swish, but Group B, what stood out for you there?
I mean, the Germany game versus Hungary was just mayhem. And I think that is the one word that describes as well. We saw Junkrat for the very first time. We played on Blackheart's Bay. It was one of the craziest games. We even casted, and I can't recall the last time I had the pleasure to cast Blackheart's Bay.
It was a very long time ago.
It was absolute craziness. It was good, though.
Speaking of craziness and spectacular games, though, let's have a look at today's games. And game number 1 is absolutely brilliant. Poland versus the Netherlands. We then will be moving into Spain versus the Czech Republic, Sweden versus Ukraine, and finishing off the day with Russia versus Portugal. Guys, what stands out for you there?
My highlight of the day is definitely Poland versus Netherlands. It's such a huge series. Poland possible tournament favorites, and the Netherlands absolutely demolished Spain.
Absolutely. By the same token, though, I want to see the Russian team again. Portugal is a team that surprised many of us when they played against Sweden. It took a lot of games to find a winner, and the Russian team, they weren't really challenged last couple of days. They played Ukraine, and that looked rather like a walk in the park. But the Portuguese team, we cannot underestimate them.
But let's jump back to Bakery's highlight of the day, and a lot of people at home. We are starting off with the Netherlands versus Poland. Poland are one of the teams who so many people have pegged as the potential winners of this tournament. The Netherlands, on the other hand, started as a dark horse and are now the sleeper favorites to potentially come out first in this group if they're able to take this series against Poland. Yeah,
and this is a very important one. If they can beat the Polish team, which is considered by many to be one of the great favorites of the tournament, then their path to the playoff stage is almost set. And a lot of players from the Dutch team surprised us positively. We had 2 of our favorites, Zavolosh and Darkomacron, already. Darkomacron, excuse me. I know he's very sensitive about pronouncing his nickname properly. But who I want to talk about here is B-Guy. Absolutely star performance on the Warrior role.
Yeah, he played a fantastic Anubarak. He had great performances from every aspect of Anubarak's kit, from the way that he used his shields to the stuns that he was able to land, and even cocoon and target calling.
He was absolutely spectacular, but for now we need to see what maps are going to be banned out in this series to work out where the first battleground will be going. We're starting off with Poland, removing Blackheart's Bay. We saw it yesterday, very PvE-friendly. Germany using that to great effect. Poland seemed to be preferring to fight a bit straight up.
Yeah, the German team just refused to go for the normal conventional way of playing Heroes of the Storm. They were all about shuffling and scuffling around. Today, we don't have to worry about that here in this series. It's hard to say which battleground I would like to see here, to be honest. I want to go on a neutral ground. So like Infernal Shrines, Cursed Hollow. I don't want to start this series with a wonky one like, you know, Haunted Mines or...
I definitely agree, and I think Poland and the Netherlands, both of these teams are strong individual teams with strong players. I think both of them will be looking for a standard map. I'd like to see Towers of Doom.
Well, you got the first letter right. We are going to Tomb of the Spider Queen as our first map. And as Bakery has said several times when we have seen this map before, early game can be hugely important. We've already seen these teams only play one series so far, but who do you think you potentially lean towards in terms of early game potential?
I gotta say, the Polish team looked very strong the last time we saw them on Tomb. Mana played one hell of a Chromie, and I think that's a player we will have to be on the lookout for in general. We talked about his Probius, always a potential threat, even getting banned out against him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this map is a map that was going to favor Mana's hero pool very well, and the combination of players that Poland have, they don't have any HGC experience. So just having 5 strong Hero League players is going to be really important for the early game rotation on Tomb and the Spider Queen.
Well, let's find out as we head into the draft. Netherlands. Greymane has once again leapt back up in popularity. He was always in he was usually in the first pick rotation for both teams. However, due to his success in this tournament so far, has moved into the ban phase.
Yeah, and is this like a case of tournament meta that we could see from the start of the Nexus games?
Yeah, I think definitely it is. So now that every single team in the tournament has played once and the teams from Group A and B have played twice, we've seen the tournament meta develop and teams are changing what they are doing because of the other teams in Nexus games. I think that Greymane ban is the perfect example.
And so Poland with the response here. And as a reminder, Poland and both the Netherlands both have some experience in this kind of professional environment, both having players from the Open Division, both having players who performed spectacularly well in the Open Division, which gives us a lot of excitement. Rhaegar picked up first, one of those top 3 rotation heroes we've seen consistently, Rhaegar, Greymane, and the ETC.
And what's really cool here, we also need to talk about Gugus on the Polish team. Like, we highlighted Mana and how he demolished foes left, right, and center on that Chromie last time. But the Gugus Tracer, in my personal opinion, was the most deadliest Tracer we've seen in the entire tournament thus far.
It's very hard to argue with that. But at the same time, Poland did have a very easy game, so he did have a lot of space. What I want to highlight here is Rhaegar picked up for the Netherlands. That's definitely for Zavalosh. Zavalosh, a fan favorite in Twitch chat, as we saw in his first game. He's a very strong Hero League support player. He likes to queue up when a lot of high-level pro players are playing Hero League, and he ends up in those games quite a lot.
Yeah, and I think we highlighted last time when we saw the Dutch team that you would even give up a Rhaegar just so he could play his baby boy.
And we go back...
Maybe not that far.
Maybe not.
Speaking of, though, people who potentially getting the heroes they want, we see potentially Mana bringing back that Chromie, not jumping straight for the Probius, even though it was actually let through the draft this time, as opposed to Poland's first series.
I mean, Germany showed how it's done with the Probius, sitting on a 100% win rate thus far. But jokes aside, that was not a conventional game that we saw yesterday.
That was the opposite of conventional, but it was still fun. So Chromie and ETC, heavy lockdown and heavy burst follow-up here. Rhaegar is a solid hero to start off, dealing with that with his own burst healing and the opportunity for cleanse.
Absolutely. Cleanse is going to be very important. Tomb of the Spider Queen is a map where you have to stand up in the rotation. And that means that when that Chromie hits level 8, she always has the option to pick Temporal Loop and secure basically a free kill that can easily lead to a turn-in.
Yeah, very true. By the same token, though, we can now forget the impact that slowing stands usually brings to the table. But you're totally right. If you detect the weakness of not having a cleanse in the enemy team, you go for the temporal loop and you nail someone down. Really interested in seeing the public vote here, by the way, on this match.
Exactly. As a reminder, guys, you can vote for the team you want to win, or just for the country you live in if you want to be a little bit biased like we have all been so far this tournament. If you believe Poland are going to win, it is hashtag PLWin in chat. If you think it's going to be the Netherlands, you can type in hashtag NLWin. We will be keeping an eye on that throughout the draft. And with a Nubrak already being locked in for the Netherlands, I would not be surprised to see that number start to move back to the Netherlands' favor, as right now it is in Poland's favor.
And Bakery, look at B-Guy already securing himself the Nubrak. And not only did he perform well on that hero the last time we saw the Dutch team on the field, it is an exceptionally good pick, not only to interrupt ETC's combos, especially the mosh pit, but it's also much more resilient against the Chromie by nature.
Yeah, that's passive spell armor, and also the fact that he can very easily go out or in makes it a very strong pick against the Chromie.
Trogal is banned out, and that's fair. It could definitely fit into what we see the Netherlands hovering over here. They've got a solid support for it, a little bit of extra damage. They have all of the other roles covered here.
I don't think the Netherlands would have picked the Cho'Gao, but at the same time, this shows that Poland are saying, we do not want to be cheesed. We think if this is a standard game, we have this. So I like the chokeout ban.
Absolutely, and if you take a look at how the Dutch team designed this draft, it could actually wake the impression of them potentially going for that chokeout. The Greymane ban. Not only is Greymane good in this tournament, but his Cursed Bullet is one of the most powerful abilities against the chokeout. Next in line, you have the Anubarak, whose Cocoon is such a good measure to deactivate the healer and then kill chokeout, or just put the Ogre in the Cocoon altogether.
So instead, like you guys said, chokeout was banned out. No cheese in this particular start, unless, of course, they have something else planned. As the Netherlands, they removed the Malfurion, and Malfurion has been kind of one of the MVPs of this tournament so far. Twilight Dreams all over the place.
Yeah, on multiple teams, actually. We saw great Malfurion plays. Most importantly for the, give me a minute here, Portuguese team, Godstorm.
Yeah.
What a performance
absolutely.
on him. Like, the Portuguese team in general did such a good job at lining up their game-making heroic abilities, and Twilight Dream is definitely one of them. There's a couple of others. Turiel, we saw him here and there. Yesterday, the Danish team just stole a boss single-handedly with a good sanctification, so it wouldn't surprise me to see the Archangel of Justice pop up in this draft, potentially.
Would definitely work out against some of these heroes, and of course a little bit of extra protection for Kroby can never go amiss if it's something that Poland would be willing to pick up. As their timer is running down, we don't see Tyrael, but we do see an alternate angel here. We see the Malthael and Stukov to go with it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one, isn't it? Malthael did look good on certain occasions, but I think teams, especially in the caliber of the Netherlands, know how to play against it. Tyrael once again comes to mind. You counter an angel with an angel. There's a double support option here, especially with the Vala.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Poland are looking at for their last pick, because I don't think Stukov or Malthael make a huge amount of sense unless they have something special planned, like a second support or maybe an off-meta hero. Anubarak's Cocoon is extremely strong against Malthael because as soon as he pops Tormented Souls and as soon as he aims to win the team fight, he's going to get Cocoon. And there is no cleanse and there is no invulnerability that Poland currently have to deal with that. At the same time, we were speaking about before the draft started, B-Guy on the Anubarak is an absolute monster with his stunts, and there is no cleanse to deal with it.
Very true, very true. Also, I think if the Polish team now wants to be safe or well-equipped against that Cocoon, they're going to have somebody who shreds it very quickly. Normally, a Tassadar is a good choice, poison damage of all sorts. And Li Ming, very true, with a Disintegrate. So Stukov could maybe fulfill that role if he drops a nice lurking arm underneath it, but that's not the optimal way of doing it.
That's a big cooldown.
Yeah, absolutely true.
So potentially the other option could be something else that could either draw the Cocoon or something that will gain value with the Cocoon already being used. Potentially another heavy damage hero, another heavy support. Rhaegar would usually be someone in that role, and Uther, potentially a Divine Shield for the Malthael, could fit in with like Big Stick, the second support style.
Yeah, they could also go for another frontliner though if they want to play it really safe. I guess there's a couple of warriors who you could send against the Sonya. Dehaka is still available, the Leoric potentially, but it's really open for the Polish team here at this point. And Karzim, Bakery, I know you're going to like that.
It's a second support. It's still no cleanse, but this changes the way that the game is played. The amount of damage potential that Poland will have on this top side with ETC stun, Chromie combo, Stukov lurking arm to follow up, which we saw to great effect, especially on that Towers of Doom game yesterday. I think both teams have a solid draft here, but I have to give my edge to the Netherlands, and Twitch chat agrees.
Yeah, the Twitch chat are bringing it back for the Netherlands, bringing it back to 41%. Still in favor of Poland, though, looking very solid. The amount of percentage damage that Poland could have here is pretty crazy. 7-sided strike and potentially even a last right. It's unlikely, and if not, everything else Malthael has really fits in that role as is, but last rights as an avoiding for Cocoon is something we used to see in Open Division a bit.
But if you look at it, the Dutch team isn't really that susceptible to percentage-based damage. Anubarak's health pool isn't really as large as it could be on other warriors, and Sonya's got outstanding self-sustain as well. Combine that with the Rhaegar, and I think they're actually going to be well equipped for that.
This could ancestral healing when those percentage damage cooldowns are popped, as well as a second healer in Brightwing with shields.
Where some of these issues could be potentially countered by the Stukov, but Rhaegar is able to heal from a little bit further away. So, burn of execution, would you say, is potentially on Poland?
Definitely. I mean,
I would say so.
Yeah, execution is always, or needs always to be on point when you have a Chromie in your team. The Stukov, the Karazim, there's a lot of mechanically challenging heroes implemented in that Polish draft.
So, at the moment, the Netherlands, is B-Guy on that Anub'arak enough, do you think? He is basically, he does have double support behind him. He has Sonya, an extra little bit of tankiness with him. What are you thinking of it?
I'm looking at Poland, and I'm thinking I don't like that draft as much. Netherlands, I love that draft.
What I also think about the Dutch team here is that they're carrying momentum. They're being supported like hardly any other country by their fans.
Yes, they are. And ladies and gentlemen, and the fans of the Netherlands and Poland are like, let us jump into game number 1. And Kendrick, would you like to introduce the team on the left?
With pleasure, Tetcher. We have Arjiv on that Stukov, Mana places Chromie again, Wolfsy on the Malthael, Zadoon is on the ETC, and Gugus on that Karazim.
Whereas on the right-hand side, it's Team Netherlands with 6 on the Valor. B-Guy on the Anub'arak, Dark Omicron is playing the Sonya, Zavalosh on the Rhaegar, and Atmos is on the Brightwing.
All right, it is game time, baby. We have Tomb of the Spider Queen locked in that first game of the day, and if we compare of what we've seen up to this point in the Nexus games, it couldn't get more exciting. This is by far one of the highlights of the tournament, the Netherlands. Many called them a dark horse, many called them their secret favorite of the tournament, but boy, have they delivered.
They have delivered so far, but this is their toughest opponent yet, potentially, in the form of Poland. As Poland begin rotating around as much as they need to. Starting off with some of the level 1 talents, we are going to be seeing a couple blocks coming in here for both teams.
Yeah, and I can't really blame them. I mean, the block is a solid talent against Karazim, even against heroes who normally you don't expect to be hitting hard. But the Stukov auto attacks, the Chromie bronze talents, those are all abilities that will get diminished or even reduced from the block.
Yeah, and you are more likely to be hit by a Stukov auto attack here as he has gone for the spine launcher, getting that extra attack range and a little bit of extra slow. On the flip side though, ETC with Block Party giving some for his team as well, and Karazim is, most of the games so far we have seen the Earth ally come into effect.
It's pretty interesting though, nevertheless, that Sonya went blocked because she's facing a Malthael, and Malthael normally has a lot of sustained damage, and if you then go for the Warpaint, you can heal and get back some of the health you just lost from the constant harass.
Yeah, you can actually see at the health bars at the top of your screen, Sonya is taking a little bit more damage than Malthael is in that bottom lane, so she is going to have to play careful and around this. Hot Pursuit, by the way, coming in for Valor, and we've seen a couple multi-shot builds coming in this tournament so far.
Mostly on Volskaya Foundry. However, on Tomb, you could still go for a Hungering Arrow-related build, because let's face it, the Monster Hunter isn't always needed, because it could get intercepted by some of the minions, by the little Spiralings, but the Wave Weavers normally can be dealt with very quickly in the first place. So the web could be, but it could also be a multi-shot.
Like you said, the Monster Hunter can work well on the Web Weavers, but you are constantly near something to attack. So in theory, you can keep your hatred up very high, and this will be the key, this level 4 talent for Valor. Yeah, this is what build she's going for, and it is a multi-shot build. Once again, coming back in, as the silence is dropped onto a Anub'arak. B-Guy tunneling back through the silence though, and is able to escape.
Yeah, able to escape for now. B-Guy doing a good job here, not exposing himself too much. Also, keep in mind, those permanent brawling stages, those early skirmishes, will really help Mana to scale up and stack up his trade, which requires him to hit 60 people with the Sand Blast, and then he will conjure the Sand Echo.
So I'm starting to think that the thing I said about Last Rites is becoming a little bit more viable with the Malthael level 4 talent. Die alone.
Yeah.
Soul Rip deals 75% more damage if you are solo in taking his trait.
Yeah, this is basically a talent to dominate the one-on-one lane. You see that very often on Brax's Holdout, where you probably have the longest laning phase in all of the maps in Heroes of the Storm. But even on Tomb, like on Tomb, if you have longer phases with both teams denying each other from getting turn-ins, you can have an astounding amount of time in lane. And then, as you said, Die Alone could make all the difference.
And it does, of course, add
Let's
for
not
the
get crazy
extra...
though with last rights yet.
It has happened before, but like you said, it does give it a little bit more credence here. And of course, like you said, it is good for solo ganks. If Malthael does want to leave that lane at any point, Brightwing, for example, before at her level 10, could be especially vulnerable.
Look at the Polish team actually doing a wonderful job when it comes to turning in those early gems. 46 out of 50 were already turned in. In the meantime, we see hard-hitting Karzeem on B-Guy, and he takes the bug out.
The beautiful combo, the ETC stun silences from Juve here, and the damage from Chromie and Gugas here. Very nicely executed.
Yeah, this is something we're going to have to keep an eye on here. B-Guy, despite his splendid performance in the first game of the Netherlands, he's going to struggle hard if he overextends. Stukov, Chromie, Karzeem, those are all hard-hitting auto-attackers. And keep in mind that Anubrek is good against mages and abilities, but not so much against auto-attacks and physical damage.
Very true indeed. Malthael going for anti-healing, the touch of death. Great against this kind of double support comp. Going to be especially useful. Stukov, however, going a tiny bit off of what we have seen. We've been seeing a lot of lurking arm builds. In this case, he's going for the targeted excision.
Yeah, targeted excision is a very interesting one because it's not really one of the targets you get to see every day, but it reduces the cooldown of the bio kill switch to 5 seconds if you have exactly one pustule on the hero.
They really are going for a one-shot build, potentially. Maybe not with the last rights in the style, but they're getting a lot of times that very much lead towards blowing up an individual hero.
Yeah, this is really a really cool and strong approach by the Polish team. ATC goes in, Zedun locking down the Anubrek. No escape with the silence arm, but he was knocked back in the nick of time here. Gugas making it out in time there as well. Uses his ally as an escape pod, if you will. But the Polish team is treading on the heat tensor.
They really are. They're moving forward slowly, putting pressure on B-Guy. The main tank of the team is consistently at low health. Brightwing not able to burst heal him back up very quickly at all. And as such, this will be the mid-fort falling at the 6-minute mark.
Yeah, this is a hefty problem for the Dutch team right now. They do not have the means to dive onto the Chromie just yet. And even if they do get the chance to, there's always this immediate help by the double support there, the immediate disengage potential with a knockback on ETC, with a silence by the Stukov. So right now it's a tough nut to crack for the Dutch team. They're going to have to wait until Cocoon is ready.
They are indeed, and that Cocoon is going to be huge. We've already seen how well B-Guy can use it to execute people and just to set up for kills. Good spear onto Wolves, but that extra movement speed he took at level 1, able to get him out of danger.
Yeah, Fear the Reaper is such a good talent when it comes to escaping ganks early on, and we need to talk about Wolfsy as well here. He's probably one of the best amateur players in that off-lane role. It is really hard. If you've ever played against this guy, you will notice how much game sense he has. He can smell those ganks before they even happen, it seems.
So we actually, Malthael did tease us a little bit there, holding his heroic, but of course it is the Tormented Souls. So effective in these heavy team fights. And actually, it does gain a little bit of, goodbye, Fred. Mosh Pit may be a bit of overkill there, but it's still going to be 2 kills as Atmos will get taken out.
I don't think it was overkill, Tetra. I think Zedun actually planned that because he saw the Brightwing teleport. So he was like, we're probably going to get this Malthael without me using the Mosh Pit, but what if we can get 2 kills out of that and snowball from there, because we're just about to attack the bottom fort as well. So yes, those were hefty cooldowns, but the timing and the awareness of killing 2 people at one at the same time is huge for the Polish team.
Definitely worked out in their favor. It's a big cooldown to burn, but the Netherlands are already alive thanks to low cooldown timers. So if the Netherlands want to do something, grabbing level 10 as quick as possible and then trying to make a play while ETC does not have that mosh pit could be the play. Good time out by the Chromie, actually protected her from an ETC slide in there. Sorry, by a Nubrak tunnel in.
Yeah, exactly. So better be safe than sorry, especially when your teammates are about to turn in, because a dead Chromie would have been so detrimental to their ongoing push. Even if Chromie had brought down to, let's say, 5% health, he would have had to teleport back or take a fountain, and you really don't want to waste any time when your allied web viewers are on the march.
And we do now, however, see the Netherlands with that level 10. This will make it easier for them to defend, but they're still 2 levels behind, and Poland are still snowballing ahead. With yet another turn in, the web weavers beginning to put pressure on. This bottom one is being ganged up on, I would say.
Yeah.
Actually, no, they're going to leave it. They've done a little bit of damage, but they are aware that the pushing potential is going to come in the other lanes.
Yeah, the Dutch team can't really do anything about that ongoing push. True, their level 10 is here, but they're way too split around the map. They're going to have to fit in 3 lanes at the same time. And if you want to take care of Poland here, you need to use your combined efforts because the Polish team does not separate themselves. They know they're on the driver's seat with a talent advantage here. If they split now, this opens a window for Netherlands to come back.
It does in the Netherlands. A window for them to come back would be to try and pick up a kill here, but like I said, a talent down is so rough for them here. As they begin to move forward, as they see a couple members of Poland disappearing, they're going to try and make something happen here as ETC moves in. Bayernoob immediately focused down. Ancestral was good, but the kill was far too fast.
Yeah, this time the Netherlands coordination here was not on point. Viga wanted to go in, but by the same token, Brightwing was too far away, Rego was too far away, Zavalos, there was no way he could have reached Anubrak with the Ancestral Healing in time. And it looked to me like Brightwing was just panicking. She was using the Emerald Wind because she didn't know what else to do after the Warrior fell. So it's a little bit of a different Dutch team we see here. Maybe a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit overzealous after playing so well against Spain last time.
Potentially the Dutch team on the back foot here. They have enough gems for a turn-in. They only needed 2 more, but ETC is guarding bot turn-in. The rest of Poland are guarding top turn-in. Poland, however, far enough away from their own turn-in that Netherlands can just fully focus on this boss.
Yeah, the thing is, though, it's a 14 versus 11 team composition here for the Polish team. They have so many boons, so many tools that speak in their favor. The boss, of course, being the biggest one of them all, quite literally. But also, the level 13 talent that they have is going to be so huge. The zoning and the dive potential. And Vala is no more before the real fight even started.
Yeah, and that's the main range damage here. So the boss, with just under, over a third health, is pushing in here, keeping the pressure on. It will get taken out before it reaches core, but it will grab yet another tower. And Poland hit level 15 before Netherlands even have 30.
And I think a lot comes down to the battleground here as well. Tomb of the Spider Queen is so unforgiving when it comes to, you know, falling behind early on. It offers very limited angles to flank enemy heroes. On, let's say, a map like Cursed Hollow or Infernal Shrines, heroes like Sonya, they could sneak in behind, pressure the Chromie this way. But here, where it's always a straight-up face-off, if you will, it's not going to happen that easily.
And the Netherlands going to try and get some value here. Their Web Weavers are assisting them here.
They really need to get value now.
Top is very far back. Bot is already dead. Mid is basically their last ditch effort.
Yep.
If they are to mid has been ditched, so they really have to try and get some value either here by kills or hope that that top Web Weaver with only under half health left can do something. It's tiny bits of XP, but every little helps. This would be the perfect time to make a play though. 16 is not available for Poland.
Yeah, the vision there by the... Oh, never mind. Viga's going in. So much damage done on Arshev, though, and he ends up falling.
He goes down. The mosh pit is interrupted. Emerald Wind pushing them back. The Cocoon was used on the ETC as the interrupt here. And I'm not sure why the Tormented Soul's just not enough to pick up the kills here, but the percentage damage is still very good. Dark Omicron getting focused down to the side in, but Six also survives. Teleport onto Savage keeps him alive, but only 1 kill. They really needed more from that, Kendrick.
Yeah, it would have been great for the Dutch team if they had gotten more kills there, but still, they can't complain. They still have a couple of gems available, and they're going for the reinitiation Tetcher.
They want more, but B-Guy misses the follow-up stun. He gets stunned up himself, but he's fine. He's still a little tanky, a little low on mana. We have enough gems, enough gems available for Poland to get the turn in, and we will see the Netherlands trying to prevent this, but they're not guarding. Yeah, they are just going to let it happen again and go on the defense.
And now that Stukov is back in the mix, he can lend his team a helping hand to really get back on this track and really re-establish the lead that the Polish team has had for the majority of the game. And despite the Netherlands really showing a sign of life here, it is going to be them once again who will have to defend the next Web Weaver wave.
And they move up the top lane, the most pushed up lane. It's got catapults in it. This Web Weaver could be a real pain if left unattended up here. So this is the lane they will focus on first. At least throwing up the catapults, making sure that that Web Weaver will at least tick down as much of its health as possible before it reaches the danger zone of the core.
Yeah, very true. Now, the moment the Netherlands get level 16, this is probably their greatest chance of potentially coming back. So they need to minimize their losses here with this ongoing push from the Polish team. Losing towers, okay, it hurts a little bit, but that's fine. Losing a keep, not so much. So they really need to make a stand here without taking too much damage. It's hard. It's easier said than done, though. Brightwing in the top lane could teleport at any given moment. Yeah, I really want Sonya to be there, though. I really think without Sonya, they can't start a fight, or they can't defend.
Sonya has cleared out that bottom Wembley, but it is almost completely dead. Brightwing is doing a good job in the top one. It's still got 2 catapults behind it, but it is defendable now at the core. However, this keep is already dropping low. Anubrak does not land the stun. 7-sided cleanse, and so Emerald win, pushing them away. The Cocoon will get interrupted very quickly. ETC with Moshpit available back in 3 seconds. Brightwing already down. Dark Omicron focused down. Win percentage damage. Moshpit for good measure. 6 focused, and Rhaegar will be removed as well. The only surviving member is a noob, and there's nothing he can do as Poland move on to the core.
No, there's just too much pressure going on. Too many AoE zoning abilities on the side of Poland. The slowing stance, the lurking arm. It was so well placed, and that was just a clean fight, if you will. And they have no difficulties anymore of destroying the Dutch core. Well played in a 1-0-4, one of the biggest teams we have in the Nexus games.
Very nicely played by Poland here with a 3-level lead at the end of that game. Solid play here, and this is why they are one of the favorites of the tournament here.
And at some point, you're gonna ask yourself, do we want to face that Chromie anymore? She did so much, not just the damage, guys. It is also the pure zoning and the pure mind games it plays. You always need to send someone in to really deal with the Chromie. B-Guy tried several times to dive in on the Anubrak, and he got punished every single time.
He did, but the highlight player for me, I am slightly biased, but it's definitely Gugus on that Kharazim. He had an absolutely outstanding understanding of when to go in and how to use Kharazim's pressure. I don't have a replay of that, I'm afraid, but definitely props to him for some fantastic play.
What do you have as a replay to show us?
So I have a key influential moment. It's a 10 vs 9 gank on bot lane. Poland already have control, but as they run in, look at Zadoon. So he slides as soon as he's in range. He moves to body lock, pulls it. Brightwing has one chance to save this game. You can see just before she gets stunned, as she teleports in, she has unstoppable frames, and she needs to have queued up Polymorph onto the ETC here. And that's the one chance that Netherlands have to save the game. She doesn't though. And as we roll it forward, we do see Sonya goes down very easily despite the teleport. Brightwing has just teleported into her death as well, despite the cleanse from Zavalosh. The major things to take away here is that as soon as these kills went down, it was basically GG. Poland had a fantastic understanding of how to snowball this game through to the victory. And Zadoon especially, he had a fantastic understanding of how to play that situation. He didn't want to use Mosh Pit. As soon as he saw the Brightwing TP, he knew it was time.
Yeah, and we also got to give a lot of credit to the way they executed their team composition. Before the game started, we said it was kind of hard to do because there were so many mechanically challenging heroes. But the auto-attack pressure on B-Guy really was what shut him down entirely. In the first game they played against Spain, he looked like a monster. This time around, just like a tiny, harmless beetle, because the Kharazim auto-attacks, the Chromie Bronze Talons, everything just worked like a charm for the Polish team to shut him down.
So what are you guys thinking for the next map? What could the Netherlands take Poland to here?
What do you think?